story about flower communion.
Nearly 100 years ago, the Unitarian minister Norbert Chopek offered his Czechoslovakian congregation a ritual to respond to their questions about how to be a community that welcomed rather than suppressed diversity. Czechoslovakia was a country formed in the aftermath of war, struggling just 5 years after the end of that war with questions of belonging and identity, trust and anxiety. Chopek's ritual took the traditional bread and wine communion that his community was too heretical for and too resistant to these usual symbols and played with this ritual. He turned instead to the beauty of nature all around them and invited each of his congregants to find a flower and bring it to the church one Sunday. That each person would find the flower that was beautiful to them was a symbol of their affirmation that each of us has a piece of the truth, our unique sense of what beauty means. On their way into the church, his congregation was in turn invited, each of them, to place that flower in a vase, which symbolized their free choice to enter into community alongside all the other people that saw beauty in their own way, symbolized by their flowers placed there as well. A free church where people freely choose to walk together across their differences. Once everyone had gathered, they'd bring the vase forward. Then the minister, Chopek, he would bless it. And then he'd invite everyone to choose a flower to take home with them, but just not the one that they came with. Again, this free choice affirmed each person's choice to be blessed by another and to receive with an open heart their different understandings of beauty and to feel connected rather than divided by this difference. In this moment where so many forces seek to divide people, to play on our fears of differences and our anxieties of the other, here we remember that we freely choose to walk together and to be blessed by the differences between us and to see these differences as beauty.
The origins of flower communion are full of beauty and speak to a religion that seeks to heal the wounds and brokenness of our human condition through community, through observation of the natural world, and through reclaiming what people of faith can be in a world that hurts. When the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Chopek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every human person to be, as right court records show, too dangerous for the right to leave him alive. Dr. Chapek was sent to Dachau, where he was killed the next year. A gentle man who suffered cruel death and whose message of human hope and decency lives on through the flower communion. The flower communion, which is widely celebrated by UU congregations today. It is a noble and meaning-filled ritual that we are about to recreate in a different form. The service that we're about to do includes some of the original prayers that Dr. Chapek used, as we've heard, that will help us remember the principles and dreams for which he died. So we start off with what's called a consecration. So I'm going to grab one set of our flowers and hold them up for everyone to see. These are the flowers that will stay here, but they still work for our consecration. Dr. Chapek would speak these words as he consecrated the flowers, meaning to make special, to make holy. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. And may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Amen. A more modern way of saying this is from my colleague, the Reverend Teresa Soto, who writes, all of us need all of us to make it. All of us need all of us to make it. In the sharing of the flower communion, I invite you to participate in a few different ways. And I didn't tell you about this beforehand because I didn't know if this audiovisual setup would work, but here we are. If you are joining us online, if you have something green or growing somewhat near you, and you just want to grab it and hold it, you can hold it up to your camera, that'd be great. We're not going to do anything with our flowers here yet, because what we're going to do after the service is we'll set out a few of the vases of our flowers in front of Hale Hall, and we invite you to do a drive-by flower communion, to bring something green or growing from your home, some kind of flower. Perhaps it has color, perhaps it's like my yard and it's full of just green things. Anything that is growing and alive, to swing by and drop it here. There'll be some vases out front that you can grab a different flower than one you brought, to symbolize the bringing of your gifts and your talents and your needs and your hurts to this community. And when we share them with one another, we hold one another in love, to be in comradeship, as Dr. Chapek said. If you're here in person, we'll do the same thing, but you'll get first crack when we set them up afterwards. So maybe if you want to grab something green from the play yard, you're welcome to do that. If you brought flowers, you're welcome to share those. But for our friends at home, if you have something green or growing and you want to hold it up to your camera, please do so. If you don't, that's okay. Regardless of when you hold your flowers, here's my request for our flower communion. When you take your flower and approach the vase, I ask that you do so quietly, humbly, perhaps reverently, thinking about not just the gifts that you bring, but all the gifts that are waiting to be received, all the mutual support and the mutual love that connects us. Think about your flower and what it might represent to you. Does it represent a hope or a dream? Does it represent something that you need? As you look at your chosen flower, once you make your switch, note that its particular shape and beauty has come to you in particular. And I ask that you steward that gift well. Be it to go home and stick it in a bowl of water for a few days, to make art out of it, to use it as part of your altar or prayer practice, or simply to admire its beauty. However you choose to participate with your own unique humanity, remember that it is a gift that someone else has brought to you. And may we go and do likewise, with our kindest touch leading the way. We're going to play some music and do a small meditation on our flowers.
I am resilient, I trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. 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 These times are poignant, the winds have shifted. It's all we can do to stay uplifted. Pipelines through backyards, wolves howling out fronts. Yeah, I got my crew, but truth is what I want. Realigned and on point, power to the peaceful, prayers to the waters, women at the center, all vessels open to give and receive. Let's see the system brought down to its knees. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of the fine things. My father taught me that I'm a speck of dust and this world was made for me. So let's go and try our luck, said I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty the movement. I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
Okay. So I'm going to invite you to think about what flower communion means to you. If this is your first time celebrating, then it may seem new and it's kind of different because of our hybrid setup. But you can imagine being in the sanctuary with music playing, folks coming to the front, bringing flowers to a common vase, setting them into the vase, taking a different flower and returning to their seats to see a beautiful bouquet of diversity forming and changing over time. You might ask, well, why do we do this? What does it mean? I listened to McKinley say all those things about Norbert Chopek, but I don't follow the same theology as him, so I don't really know what flower communion means. So I want to invite you to think here. What does it mean to take time to appreciate not just the natural world, but to come together to do so? To bring our gifts and talents and to speak about joy in a world that is full of hurt, full of violence, and seems to be lacking in joy. Our theme for this month is play. I'm a big proponent of play. So what does flower communion have to do with play? Does it involve taking from the natural world and then giving to one another? Yes. But for me, flower communion and many of our Unitarian Universalist rituals are about tapping in to something at the root, you might say, that will then grow or flower, you might say, into something that builds resilience. The song that we just listened to is called Resilience by a band called Rising Appalachia. Resilience is what flower communion means to me. To find joy, to find community, to find comradeship, friendship in a group gathered in person or online, a group that shares similar values, a group that holds one another both accountable to do the right thing and holds one another in love as we try to be the best thing. To build resilience is what we're going to focus on this month. We're not going to play just for play's sake, but we're trying to grow resilience within us. I hope that you will join me in trying to find flowers of resilience to sustain us over the summer and into next year. So what that's going to look like today is with flower communion, and you're invited to bring your flowers to Hale in a drive-by flower communion drop-off situation to start building your resilience. But I don't want it to stop there, friends, because next week, we're going to do something a little different. I feel like I say that a lot. Next week, we'll be all online. And rather than doing something heavy and resilience and pain and suffering and all that. We're going to have what I'm calling a Sunday fun day. And our service will be a little bit off the wall. We're going to play games. Trivia might make an appearance. There will be music. There will be dancing. I invite you to wear a costume. I invite you to spread ideas for what we might do that's fun. And there's going to be a very special cooking competition next week. More details to come, but the idea is that you do not need to go out and buy any new ingredients, but you do need to get your creativity hat on, because you will be making something if you volunteer for this cooking competition. Making a dish that represents our community. It can be cookies, it can be cake, it can be something very simple, but you have to be able to explain to all the rest of your comrades here what this dish is and how it represents us at Restoration. Volunteers are very welcome, but we already have some friends and family who will be participating. This is a great way to end the year, I think. A year that has been heavy, a year that has been difficult, a year that has been full of change, ups and downs. What better way to build back our resilience than playing together? So when we start with flowers that we put into a vase and take home with us, I hope that you will take home the knowledge that you are loved, that we are loved, and that we are still blooming, growing, changing, just as Dr. Chapek would have wanted. My friends, I invite you to be part of this flower communion with your whole self. Even if you can't make it over here to drop a flower off, find time to appreciate the beauty in your life, to find a little bit of joy and resilience. Because all of us need all of us to make it. And all of us need resilience to bloom. May that be so, friends. Amen. Now is the time in our service where we offer our financial resources to the betterment of this congregation. There are so many ways to give back to the UUs of Mount Airy. Finances is just one of them, but we do need money to make all of this work. You can follow the instructions on your screen for the online offering plate. The money that you designate as plate will go to the operating fund of this church. The money that you designate as Change for Change will go to June's Change for Change social justice organization, the March on Harrisburg. Our buddies over there working on making corruption illegal in Harrisburg. I'm planning on trying to get to Harrisburg next Wednesday with a March on Harrisburg. So if you are planning on that as well, holler at me. We can talk about ride sharing. If this is your first time visiting with us, there is no expectation that you give. We just ask that you let us know how you found us. Which of our social media channels is working? Did you drive by and hear about us or see our signs or what? That knowledge is always very helpful. Friends, whatever you decide to give, we are very grateful. And that offering will now be taken with sincere gratitude.
You
Lately I've been reeling, watching the nightly news. Don't seem to find the rhythm, just wanna sing the blues. Feels like a song that never stops. Feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before my heart turns into stone. So when somebody please pass the megaphone, I'll shout it on the count of three. Oh, hear my prayer tonight. I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength. choose. Let it move you. Let it move. Let it move you. Yeah, I choose. Let it move you. Let it move. Let it move you. Though I walk through the valley in the shadow of night, oh, with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I choose. Let it move you. Let it move. Let it move you. Joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay.